If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Big machines rumble under Switzerland, the sun spits plasma, and volcanoes clear their throats, all in the same news cycle. Welcome to The Grind. I'm Art Grindstone. Quick programming note before we fire the proton beams. For the summer, The Grind shifts to Tuesdays and Thursdays. Management asked why. I told them I'm busy in the bunker. They asked what that means. I slammed the door, turned the deadbolt, and yelled, "You'll find out when the Geiger counter beeps." Consider that my cheeky way of saying, stay tuned. Now, let's talk about tonight's show. CERN's Large Hadron Collider is running its high-luminosity dress rehearsal, chasing gaps in the standard model while the internet swears it's tearing holes in reality. Solar storms just painted Arkansas neon green and knocked a dozen satellites sideways. Scientists say coincidence. Rumor mills say collider strings tug on solar winds. Mount Merapi and Popocatépetl erupted within 36 hours of each other, and mid-level quakes rattled the Pacific Rim. Volcanologists blame tectonics. Numerologists blame symmetry. I blame everyone's love of a juicy diagram. And in our featured investigation, we delve into what Hamas was really doing on October 7th, 2023 with their attack on Israel. The media paints a picture of Hamas wanting to hurt Israel by slaughtering civilians. But what if? It was a distraction so they could steal intelligence data and then give it to Big Daddy Iran. Wonder is rocket fuel, skepticism is the seatbelt, and we'll need both for the ride. After the break, Detroit's midnight convoys, Beijing's holographic siege, and that sputtering van in Gaza that tried and failed to hack a satellite uplink. Buckle up. Kicking off the hour by diving into this week's stories, we set the stage with a mix of science and spectacle. Big machines and a restless planet are making headlines tonight, so let's lean in for the ride. For the last few months, the Large Hadron Collider under the Swiss-French border has been running what CERN calls its high-luminosity rehearsal, cranking proton beams to intensities the lab has never dared before. Scientists there hope to glimpse rare particle events that could fill the gaps in the standard model, the physics rulebook that explains everything from lightning to laptop screens. Yet every time those detectors flash, whispers ripple far beyond the control room. Underneath the physics jargon bubbles a public thrill. Could this be the moment we open a door to someplace entirely new? On a late-night frequency like this one, curiosity crackles louder than the magnets, so let's keep the signal strong. Enter the mysterious portal theories. Scroll any social feed after a collider run, and you'll find grainy images tagged proof of swirling apertures in Geneva's sky. One video shows clouds folding inward like a cosmic drain. Another claims a flock of birds vanished mid-flight above the ring. CERN's press office, with a patience I admire, repeats that what we're seeing is weather mixed with fisheye lenses. Still, the myth persists because it scratches an ancient itch. The hope that somewhere a hidden staircase leads out of our everyday grind. Even seasoned researchers admit that if an unexpected blip pops up between the quarks, they'll be the first to pop champagne. Fantasy or not, the idea of a portal keeps us clicking refresh, and the beat goes on. Now, let's widen the lens to the sun itself. Over the last fortnight, space agencies have logged a sharp uptick in solar storms. These are giant waves of charged particles that ride the solar wind and slam into Earth's magnetic shield. Last Friday, auroras danced as far south as Arkansas, painting the skies neon green and magenta. Pretty, yes, but also prickly. The same electromagnetic flare knocked a dozen low-orbit satellites offline for several hours, reports Reuters. Airline pilots on polar routes had to dip south to dodge extra radiation, adding both miles and money to their hauls. Some online sleuths connect that geomagnetic chaos to, you guessed it, the collider's power draw, arguing that flicking on a machine big enough to bend protons might also tug at solar strings. Astrophysicists call that claim charming, but impossible. Yet the timing is hard to ignore, so the rumor wheel keeps spinning. While magnetospheres shimmer overhead, the ground beneath us is anything but stable. Indonesia's Mount Merapi coughed a plume 7 kilometers high last Wednesday, and Mexico's Popocatépetl followed suit 36 hours later. The United States Geological Survey notes that dozens of mid-level quakes rattled the Pacific Rim in the same window. Volcanologists blame shifting tectonic plates, plus a seasonal uptick in monsoon moisture, which seeps into faults and acts like grease. Still, the coincidence meter is pinging. Online watchdogs overlay eruption timelines with collider-run logs and solar flare charts, drawing zigzag lines worthy of modern art. Are we looking at correlation, causation, or just cosmic coincidence? That puzzle fuels coffeehouse debates from Jakarta to Jersey, and we're right there with them. Speaking of coincidences, let's crunch a quick number. The collider's main ring is 27 kilometers around. The most intense solar flare this year clocked in at X5.8 on the NHOA scale, and Mount Merapi last erupted massively in 2010. Add those digits, and you land on 60. Numerologists leap on that figure, noting it matches the angle of a hexagon, nature's favorite efficient shape, from snowflakes to Saturn's polar storm. Does that symmetry matter? Probabilists say probably not. Pattern hunters say probably yes. Either way, the human brain is wired to chase symmetry like a dog after a tennis ball, and that chase keeps late-night talk shows like ours buzzing. To ground this high-voltage swirl, I called Dr. Leila Romero, a particle physicist at the University of Buenos Aires, and asked if anyone inside CERN actually entertains portal chatter. Her laugh echoed through the phone. "We love science fiction," she confessed, "but our detectors see particles, not door handles." She reminded me that every collision event is logged and open to peer review. If a miniature black hole tried to eat the cafeteria, she joked, the graduate students would notice. Meanwhile, Professor Raj Patel, a geophysicist at the Indian Institute of Technology, reminds volcano watchers that magma chambers move on the order of centuries, not trending weeks. Blaming a particle beam for a tectonic hiccup is like blaming your toaster for a plane delay, he said. Still, both experts salute the public's hunger for connectedness. Curiosity, they agree, propels funding and fresh minds into the lab, and that is pure upside. Yet, rumor trenches do have hazards. During last year's solar storm, a fringe site claimed telecom outages in Sweden were evidence of dimensional bleed-through, spooking residents and clogging emergency lines. The outage was later traced to a firmware bug, but the panic stuck. The World Health Organization even issued a gentle reminder: check 2 independent sources before forwarding wild claims. That advice stands tonight. It doesn't dim the wonder. It keeps the wonder useful. After all, skepticism is the seatbelt on the highway of imagination. And who drives at midnight without buckling up? So, where does that leave us as Wednesday night tilts toward Thursday? We have a giant underground ring smashing protons at near light speed. We have a star belching plasma waves across 150 million kilometers of vacuum. We have fault lines grinding under our feet like slow drum rolls. None of these forces know or care about each other, yet they meet in the human mind, where stories weave them into a single, pulsing tapestry. Whether you lean scientific, mystical, or a little of both, the take-home is the same. The universe is busy, and we are lucky enough to notice. Keeping an eye on the dials without losing sight of the sky is the sweet spot we aim for each night. As CERN resets its magnets for the next burst, solar physicists watch a fresh sunspot spin into view, and volcanologists check gas vents for new whispers. I'll be here too, microphone on, coffee cooling, ready to tie the threads together when the next alarm bell rings. Until then, remember that awe is not the enemy of reason. It's the appetizer. Chew on that as you scan tomorrow's headlines. Stay tuned as our next bundle shifts to global tensions and cultural mysteries.
If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths, and sometimes heights, to ensure the power is always flowing. Which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Following our cosmic journey, we now spotlight the human and political dramas unfolding around us. Eyes open, ears perked, because the streets below can feel just as alien as the stars above. And tonight, we march straight into that heartbeat. First stop, Detroit, where a string of late-night booms jolted residents awake last Tuesday. City officials confirmed they were part of Operation Shield, a week-long urban defense drill that blended police cruisers, National Guard trucks, and even a squad of unmanned aerial drones buzzing between skyscrapers. The stated goal: rehearse rapid response to coordinated cyber and physical threats. Local radio chatter called it a glorified fireworks show, but behind the smoke grenades lies a sobering reality. Homeland Security data says nearly 40% of Americans now live within 50 miles of a military training corridor. That means the line between civilian blocks and combat zones blurs faster than ever. A trend worth watching. Keep that in your back pocket as we roll on. The drill's timing raised eyebrows because just days earlier, Beijing completed its own urban war game. This one, a simulated siege of a coastal tech hub eerily modeled after Seattle. State media showed tanks weaving through holographic stoplights, while command teams tracked enemy influencers on giant touch tables. Analysts at the Council on Foreign Relations warn that such mirrored exercises form a silent dialogue of muscle flexing between superpowers. Washington stages a drill in the Rust Belt. Beijing answers with a pixelated beachhead. Moscow, never shy, schedules a rail-based missile test near the Arctic Circle. It's like 3 poker players tapping their chips, each signaling, "I see your bet." The pot is global stability, and you and I are the unwilling house. More on that in a moment. Back in Detroit, questions fly about civilian input. City council members claim they got a 2-page memo 48 hours before the first convoy rolled out. Neighborhood watch captains say they heard only when their porch cameras lit up. Public trust, already fragile, takes another dent when citizens feel drafted into cloak and dagger rehearsals without a heads up. But Deputy Mayor Carla Winters counters that secrecy protects realism. "You can't practice for surprise," she told the local press, "if everyone knows the surprise is coming." That logic echoes wartime doctrine, yet in peace it feels like a stern parent hiding the chore list. People prefer transparency, even when danger is abstract. That's a lesson leaders forget at their peril, and the tension lingers. Now let's widen the frame to the Pacific. The United States Navy just confirmed a fresh freedom of navigation patrol in the South China Sea, sending 2 destroyers within 12 nautical miles of an artificial Chinese island. Meanwhile, Chinese jet fighters buzzed close enough to rattle cockpit windows, reports the Associated Press. Both sides released sanitized cockpit footage, each claiming the moral high ground. This tit-for-tat resembles a diplomatic slow dance. One partner lunges, the other pivots, yet nobody breaks hold. Defense scholars label it gray zone competition, a polite term for simmering brinkmanship. The dance floor spans 2 million square miles of ocean, but its echo reaches every port union and shipping insurer on Earth. When superpowers square off, coffee prices in Kansas City can spike. File that under global ripple effects and stay curious. Amid these high-stakes drills, folklore sneaks in through the cracks, coloring how communities process stress. In Detroit's Mexican Town district, elders whisper about La Sombra de Acero, or the Shadow of Steel, a wandering spirit said to loom near train yards whenever armed men gather. Kids swear they saw long silhouettes sliding along brick walls during the recent exercises. Historian Rosa Delgado traces the legend back to labor strikes in 1927, when strikebreakers marched behind armored trucks. The tale morphed over generations, turning protest memories into ghost stories that still shape neighborhood identity. Folklore, she explains, is a cultural pressure valve. When people can't challenge authority head-on, they smuggle fear and protest into myth. That insight sticks because myths often outlive policy papers, and somewhere a child is drawing that shadow in chalk tonight. We keep listening. Legends also punctuate the geopolitical chessboard. In China's Fujian province, fishermen share the saga of the Sky Dragon, a cloud serpent believed to protect coastal villages from foreign navies. Each time warships approach the Taiwan Strait, social media lights up with photos of ribbon-shaped clouds, labeled proof of the dragon's watchfulness. The People's Liberation Army hasn't endorsed the creature, but state channels embrace the symbolism. By weaving myth into defense narratives, governments tap emotional reservoirs logic alone can't reach. Think of it as patriotic folklore, old as campfires, modern as hashtags. The effect is subtle yet potent. It reframes military moves as fulfilling prophecy rather than provoking conflict. That sleight of hand deserves our attention, and onward we spin. Closer to home, the Appalachian Hills hum with their own protective legends. Residents in western North Carolina report renewed sightings of the Brown Mountain Lights, mysterious orbs that float over ridges on moonless nights. Some say they are lanterns of Cherokee warriors. Others claim they're the spirits of Civil War soldiers guarding the land. Sightings peaked the same week Special Forces teams parachuted nearby as part of a joint readiness drill. The Army insists the two events are unrelated, citing atmospheric conditions and swamp gas. Locals chuckle. Every time the Army drops in, the lights get restless, says Park Ranger Joel McCarthy. Whether the lights are plasma pockets or military flares, they serve as an informal public relations barometer. A friendly glow calms hikers. A sudden flare breeds talk of secret schemes. Once again, folklore wraps its cloak over a uniform, and the plot thickens. Let's not forget cyber turf wars, the invisible front line linking city drills to global games. Last month, a ransomware gang with suspected ties to a foreign intelligence service locked down water treatment sensors in 6 mid-sized U.S. cities. The hack forced operators to revert to manual chlorine testing, a tedious throwback that slowed purification by hours. No contamination occurred, but the scare put mayors in the hot seat. Cybersecurity experts, speaking to the Washington Post, called it a distributed dress rehearsal, testing how fast local governments could scramble under digital fire while physical drills rattled windows outside. Its strategy layered like an onion. Attack code here, convoys there, and rumor everywhere. Keep peeling, and you find raw nerves at the core. Onward we press. Economic pressure adds yet another strand. Earlier today, the European Union floated targeted tariffs on rare earth minerals, commodities dominated by Chinese exports. Beijing hinted it could restrict supplies if pressed, while Washington quickly courted Australian mines to fill gaps. The chessboard analogy returns. One piece moves, another counters, tension builds. When minerals that power smartphones and missile guidance chips sit in the crosshairs, even a small tariff feels like a pistol cocking. Wall Street analysts predict volatility in green tech stocks over the next quarter, a reminder that markets read politics like seismographs read faults. Tremors in policy translate to aftershocks in wallets, so brace accordingly. We march forward. All these threads, urban drills, maritime posturing, cyber gambits, and mythic overlays, form the tapestry of what think tanks label hybrid conflict. It's war without a formal declaration, peace without full comfort. In hybrid zones, information travels as fast as bullets, and sometimes it hits harder. That's why a single viral video of a drone skimming Detroit rooftops can stir more public fear than a 1,000-page defense budget. Story shapes reality, whether spun by officials, hackers, or grandmothers telling ghost tales by porch light. Understanding that narrative battlefield becomes our best civic armor. Stay alert, question calmly, and share responsibly, because rumor control is everyone's job now. Before we close, a quick jab at paywalls. You shouldn't have to swipe a credit card to stay informed about drills above your block or legends beneath your boots. That's why we unpack these stories here, ad-free and attitude-rich, night after night. And that brings us to our handoff. Remember, all these stories are posted free on unexplained.co. No paywalls here, unlike some other outlets.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to chumbacasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at chumbacasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Shifting gears from the news front, we turn our focus to a deeper investigation unfolding. Behind hostage headlines, another darker puzzle flickers. On October 7, Hamas fighters stormed Israeli border towns, seized more than 200 hostages, and rocketed social feeds with chilling phone videos. Global coverage locked onto the human cost. Families torn, sirens wailing, a nation in shock. Yet almost as soon as cameras rolled, a small circle of analysts began questioning the obvious narrative. They asked whether the brutality masked a parallel mission, an intelligence theft performed in the fog of chaos. To explore that angle, we pull on threads that stretch from field radios abandoned in the dust to mysterious data traffic spikes logged hours before dawn. The picture stays hazy, but patterns emerge, and we follow the outlines tonight. First, let's revisit the timeline with a detective's eye. Israeli security cameras confirm the breach started at 6:03 a.m., when explosives tore gashes in the border fence near Kibbutz Nir Oz. Simultaneously, militants on paragliders glided over the wall toward the nearby Reim army base. The tactic shocked defenders, grabbing every lens and headline. Early hints of diversion tactics surface right here. The spectacle of aerial invaders forces soldiers and reporters to train all eyes skyward, while ground teams slip in below the radar. Colonel Amir Weiss, a retired intelligence officer quoted by Haaretz, argues the glide paths looked almost theatrical, designed for maximum television drama. "You don't use bright-colored wings unless you want to be seen," he noted. That observation fuels curiosity, and we log it for later. Inside the Reim base, chaos unfolded fast. But amid the firefight, one building remained oddly untouched. The Signal Corps office, home to encrypted radios and fresh intercept logs. Footage shows militants passing its door more than once, scanning corridors but not setting the space ablaze. Forensics teams later found the server racks powered down in an orderly fashion, not melted by fire. Initial whispers of hidden objectives grew louder when technicians discovered 4 hard drives missing, their cables neatly unclipped. Whoever removed them had time, skill, and a plan to carry digital gold out under the smoke cover. This is where our investigation gains traction, and forward we step. A parallel clue lies in cyberspace. Israeli cybersecurity firm Clear Sky reports a surge of outbound traffic from a half-dozen compromised surveillance cameras inside border towns. The spike began at 5:42 a.m., roughly 20 minutes before the fence explosion, and tunneled through a Malaysian server that often hosts ransomware crews. Traffic size, about 2 gigabytes. Think 1,000 high-res photos or a trove of blueprint files. No ransom note followed, and the data route went dark minutes after the breach began. Cyber detectives wonder if that tunnel ferried reconnaissance from inside Israeli networks to handlers waiting abroad. If true, the assault served as kinetic cover for a digital grab. The dual theater model, guns on the ground, packets in the cloud, mirrors tactics used by Russian units in Crimea, says the Atlantic Council. History rhymes, and the beat goes on. Now, let's talk about the hostages themselves. Many were taken from music festival grounds near Kibbutz Re'im, a site less than 1 kilometer from a sensitive comms relay believed to link southern drone patrols. Israeli forces never publicize exact locations, but satellite hobbyists map antenna clusters with surprising accuracy. One retired British signals analyst, speaking to the BBC, suggests militants may have piggybacked on festival infrastructure, portable cell masts, Wi-Fi networks, ticket scanners, to scan frequencies and sniff credentials. By sweeping up frightened concertgoers, attackers also grabbed their phones, badges, and biometric data, a trove intelligence services crave. Hostages can be traded for prisoners. Data can feed targeting algorithms for years. 2 prizes, 1 raid, and the story widens. Evidence of field intelligence goals also appears in the gear militants ditched while retreating. Among captured backpacks, Israeli soldiers found laser rangefinders, tablet computers preloaded with mapping apps, and USB thumb drives stamped with Chinese characters. Reuters reports that at least 3 drives contained Israeli Defense Force troop rosters dated 2022. Some files matched leaks from earlier hacks, but others referenced unit deployments never before published. Analysts suspect insiders supplied schematics, and the assault team aimed to update or verify those files in real time. That would explain why teams lingered inside certain kibbutzim long after initial resistance collapsed, checking basement shelters, office safes, and even kindergarten storage rooms, possibly hunting cache points marked months in advance. Bold moves in any playbook, and the implications cut deep. Skeptics urge caution. Intelligence drives vanish in many conflicts, often by accident or opportunism. The Israel Defense Forces originally blamed the missing drives on fire damage, though later scans showed the racks intact. Fog of war distorts facts, and conspiracy can bloom in that fertile soil. Yet pattern recognition is part of journalistic craft, so we weigh details without jumping to verdicts. The idea that Hamas orchestrated a covert intelligence heist alongside a brutal hostage operation may sound cinematic, but modern warfare is increasingly hybrid, half battlefield, half data breach. The shift follows a cold logic. Hostage swaps buy headlines and leverage, while stolen algorithms quietly tilt the next clash. We keep the hypothesis alive and keep digging. Let's rewind to planning clues. 6 months before the attack, Palestinian contractors working opposite the border applied for permits to install new water pipes. Satellite images later showed trenches that angled suspiciously toward IDF fiber optic lines. Israeli inspectors approved the work, not realizing the pipes ran shallow enough to allow fiber tapping from underneath. After October 7, engineers found couplers spliced into the bundle, each linked to a cable snaking back under Gaza soil. Whether militants used those lines to siphon intel or simply study traffic remains classified, but the arrangement fits a textbook diversion tactic. Disguise espionage inside mundane construction. When a surprise assault erupted, the tapping gear likely captured the flood of emergency comms, a priceless window into command rhythms. A subtle thread, yet it ties neatly to our growing suspicion, and onward it leads. Another layer, diplomatic timing. On October 6, Egypt mediated talks aimed at increasing Gaza work permits and easing fuel restrictions. Israeli officials traveled to Cairo for the meeting, carrying laptops loaded with negotiation briefs. Cyber experts at Checkpoint Software noticed an unusual phishing wave targeting attendees the previous week, featuring spoofed United Nations emails. If hackers gained track changes copies of those briefs, they could predict Israeli reaction plans. Pair that intel with hijacked troop rosters, and you possess a map and a manual. Such precision may explain how militants navigated border cameras, avoided minefields, and reached high-value buildings quickly. Each clue by itself could be coincidence. Together they hum like wires under tension, and we listen to the voltage. In the end, hard proof of a grand intelligence heist remains locked behind classified doors. What we have is a mosaic of circumstantial shards, missing drives, timed data bursts, theatrical distractions, and surgically chosen targets. Analysts split into camps. One group calls the theory smoke without fire, arguing Hamas lacks the technical depth for such a dual mission. Another group counters that outside patrons, think Iranian Quds Force or Lebanese specialists, could supply the expertise. The truth may sit somewhere in the messy middle, where opportunism meets preparation. Warfare, like poker, rewards players who capitalize on lucky cards while hiding long-game strategy. Until sealed archives open, we track open-source clues, question consensus, and resist tidy endings. Curiosity, after all, is a citizen's first defense against narrative drift, and that creed drives our midnight watch. As families pray for hostages and nations debate retaliation, the possibility of stolen data quietly shadows every diplomatic phone call. If sensitive intel escaped on October 7, future battles may unfold on screens long before boots touch ground. For policymakers, that means rescue talks must consider not just human trade-offs, but information ransoms, a chilling new variable. For us listeners, it reminds that headlines often glow brightest where the story is least complete. Tonight, we place a marker. Hostage crisis, yes. But keep an eye on the servers, the cables, and the silent traffic that may prove the raid's deeper purpose. The shadow beyond the hostages might reshape the region more than any swap deal, and we will keep the beam of inquiry sweeping. Up next, we'll follow the trail deeper into the rabbit hole of intricate planning.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on chumbacasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at chumbacasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's chumbacasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Building on the previous segment, the plot thickens with new evidence and strategic insights. Layers upon layers remain hidden in plain view, so pull up your mental chair and lean closer. First, let's drill into detailed reconnaissance by Hamas. Months before the October 7 assault, residents of Israeli farming communities recalled seeing quadcopter drones drifting over irrigation ditches at dawn. The craft looked like hobby kits, nothing fancy, but military analysts now say they carried multispectral cameras capable of reading license plates from 50 meters. Authorities dismissed early reports as wedding photographers testing gear, yet logs from commercial drone dealers show bulk orders of spare rotors, infrared lenses, and extended-range batteries shipped to Gaza through third-party addresses in Jordan. Cross-refer those deliveries with flight paths recorded by amateur radio trackers, and you get a lattice of scout routes covering kibbutzim, relay towers, and transport hubs. Such granularity suggests a map built not from satellite images, but from street-level stalking. Like termites tasting every beam before chewing, the planners wanted first-hand blueprints of doors, windows, and patrol rhythms. Onward, we sift. Recon got even more intimate when social media apps lit up with fake dating profiles targeting young Israeli soldiers. The accounts shared flirty emojis and short voice notes in accented Hebrew, coaxing recruits into sending selfies near their bases. Cyber watchdog group Citizen Lab traced the accounts to VPN exits in Beirut, adding weight to growing signs of possible external coordination. Those selfies didn't just feed catfishing scams. Facial recognition software can match a sun-bleached uniform patch or background fence to a precise geolocation. Stitch enough of those snapshots together, and you build an augmented reality overlay that guides raiders straight to ammo stores or satellite dishes. One tactical trainer likened it to Pokemon Go for militants. Point the phone, see a virtual marker, follow until the target pops. Creepy, yes, but chillingly effective, and the pattern repeats across multiple fronts. Forward we march. More breadcrumbs. Utility workers on both sides of the border noticed odd service calls in late September. Anonymous customers ordered high-gain Wi-Fi antennas ostensibly to boost farmhouse internet speeds. These dish-shaped units, when aligned just right, can also bounce encrypted signals between miles-apart bunkers. A retired Mossad tech told Channel 13 that some antennas were later found fused into the metal framework of border pergolas, perfect camouflage amid grapevines. Evidence of precision targeting emerges here. By mapping line-of-sight corridors, attackers could funnel drone footage to command vans without relying on fragile cell towers. It's the digital equivalent of laying fiber under a starlit silence, and it hints at rehearsal runs far bolder than anyone guessed. The plot coils tighter. Now we turn to training locations that never show on Google Maps. Open-source sleuths poring over satellite images of northern Sinai identified a mock Israeli checkpoint, complete with life-size cardboard cutouts of soldiers. Tire tracks reveal pickup trucks practicing drive-by maneuvers in looping arcs. Egyptian officials deny knowledge, but footprints in the sand tell their own tale. Observers noticed that the drill site aligns with the compass bearing to Kerem Shalom crossing within 1 degree. Such alignment isn't a coincidence. It mirrors artillery math, allowing fighters to internalize angles so well that they can navigate blindfolded during the real push. Precision like that rarely evolves in a vacuum, fueling speculation of tutoring by seasoned instructors, perhaps Iranian Quds officers or Hezbollah urban combat veterans. Whatever the mentor roster, the choreography looks rigorously professional, and the suspicion meter climbs. Diplomatic chatter adds more texture. French intelligence sources, speaking off record to Le Monde, mention a spike in encrypted messaging traffic between Gaza City and Damascus during late August. The burst coincides with the arrival of a Russian cargo plane unloading medical supplies that left the manifest blank under waivers. Aviation nerds tracked the plane to a maintenance hangar owned by a private security firm led by former Spetsnaz officers. Could the crates have contained advanced comm gear or anti-drone jammers? Official voices stay mute, but the timeline again hints at external coordination. When multiple actors share a single clock, the second hand ticks louder and our ears sharpen. Let's examine target selection on D-Day. Footage shows militants bypassing parked Merkava tanks to assault a modest single-story intel shack at Nihal al-Oz. That shack looks unremarkable, yet satellite photos reveal a fiber trunk running from its basement toward Israel's main southern data pipeline. Power for the trunk flows through a redundant generator the size of a dumpster, hard to hide, yet seldom photographed. The raiders knew exactly which wall to breach, melting it with shaped charges and ripping out a server cabinet in under 2 minutes. No graffiti, no chest-thumping selfies, just clean extraction. Evidence of precision targeting doesn't get sharper than that, and veteran sappers say you only pull such a hit with inside schematics. How those schematics left secure folders remains the million-shekel mystery, and forward we push. Another data point. During the incursion, Hamas radio channels switched call signs every 4 minutes, beating the Israeli standard of 6. Radio direction crews rely on steady code names to triangulate, so the faster flip stalled counter-artillery response by crucial minutes. Where did attackers learn Israeli cue timing? One possible answer lies in the earlier hostage swap of 2011, when Israeli prisons released over 1,000 Palestinian detainees. Among them were a dozen comms specialists who spent years surrounded by Hebrew chatter. Fast forward a decade, and that well of knowledge matures into operational gold. It demonstrates how time itself can fertilize an operation, nurturing seeds planted long before the world starts paying attention. Seeds, water, sunlight, and here blooms a lethal harvest. On we go. Further proof of multi-layer coordination appears in the skies. As ground squads punched through fences, a constellation of Iranian-made Ababil drones circled high, dropping smoke canisters colored bright orange. At first glance, the plumes looked random. Military analysts later noticed each plume outlined zones where Israeli Iron Dome launchers sat dormant for maintenance. How did the attackers know which launchers would be offline that morning? A leak, a hack, or satellite pattern analysis supplied by a foreign benefactor? The orange clouds acted like sticky notes marking safe passage, and they duped defenders into allocating interceptors to the wrong sectors. That synergy between ground grit and aerial brains betrays planning sessions where multiple layers sat around the same digital whiteboard, trading what-ifs until the assault flowed like sheet music. The symphony analogy keeps ringing. Let's not overlook logistics. Haaretz reports that 6 refrigerated trucks entered Gaza under the guise of humanitarian aid 3 days before the attack. Thermal scans show the cargo held no food, but rather metal tubes whose cold signature suggests missile components. Border officers waved the trucks through after a last-minute paperwork change faxed from a number registered in Turkey. Interpol later confirmed the number belongs to a shell company linked to Tehran. This paper trail, though patchy, underlines the shadow economy that bankrolls covert ops. Money moves where light is dim, and each dollar buys silence as well as steel. We note the pattern and press ahead. Skeptics argue we might be stitching coincidences into a tapestry of intrigue. After all, wars breed rumor the way swamps grow moss. True. But when rumor intersects with hardware, training grounds, and synchronized smoke plumes, even cautious observers lift an eyebrow. The story of Oct-7 appears less like a spontaneous firestorm and more like a heist film storyboarded frame by frame. Detailed reconnaissance laid the stage. External coordinators fine-tuned timing, and precision targeting executed the score. Each pillar reinforces the next, forming a triangle hard to topple with one rebuttal. We keep the magnifying glass steady, seeking cracks. Yet, so far, the mortar looks alarmingly tight. Two implications stand out. First, Israeli defense must reckon with an enemy capable of Hollywood-level planning but seasoned in guerrilla grit, a hybrid that erodes the tech advantage Tel Aviv long enjoyed. Second, regional players from Riyadh to Washington face the sobering prospect that local flare-ups now mask broader proxy choreography. When a border fence rattles, cables may be slicing under distant deserts, and drones may be humming above undisclosed hangars. The future battlescape blurs digital, geographic, and psychological lines, and our civic toolkit must adapt just as quickly. We owe ourselves a clear-eyed view free of both panic and complacency, and that remains our nightly mission on this mic. Building theories is easier than proving them, so tomorrow we will comb new cables, ping new sources, and separate signal from noise. Meanwhile, keep your skepticism sharp, but your imagination sharper, because one without the other leaves you blind in half the spectrum. The operation's hidden layers still peel back, and every strip reveals fresh questions, flashing like neon in the night. We're committed to following each glow until daylight settles the matter, or until the next twist demands a fresher map. And trust me, the next twist is already rustling backstage. Stay tuned as we explore the twist in the tale, revealing more intricacies.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
After unraveling the complex layers, a crucial operational misstep emerges. One blunder can shout louder than 100 successes, and tonight, that shout echoes. The failed intelligence operation in question centers on a van, beige, nondescript, parked beside a weather-beaten bus stop outside Kibbutz Be'eri. Israeli investigators now believe that vehicle carried a mobile hacking rig aimed at breaching Israel's Pegasus 2 satellite uplink, a node that routes drone feeds and encrypted troop chatter. The rig was supposed to plug into a fiber junction hidden under a concrete slab marked irrigation. Easy on paper, but mid-raid, the van's diesel engine coughed, stalled, and refused to restart. Power died, screens flickered, and with that, the hack went dark. Survivors say the militants tried jump-starting with a captured patrol jeep, but abandoned the effort under incoming fire. A single sputtering piston, and the digital heist collapsed on itself, setting the stage for tonight's turning point. Momentum carries us onward. Conflicting eyewitness accounts muddy the picture. An elderly resident claims she saw fighters yank a suitcase-sized device from the van before retreating, suggesting some data haul survived. A rescue medic swears no such suitcase left the scene, only scattered laptops riddled with bullets. Meanwhile, a drone hobbyist who filmed the firefight insists infrared footage shows two militants sprinting into a citrus grove with a shiny silver case. 3 stories, 3 angles, and the truth sits somewhere in that Venn diagram. What's clear is that the scene wasn't random carnage. It looked like technicians scrambling to salvage an experiment gone sideways. Every witness feels a different part of the elephant, yet all sense its weight, and our curiosity keeps probing. Why did that van matter so much? Technical notes leaked to Yedioth Aharonoth describe a specialized modem inside, capable of spoofing authentication tokens for Israel's Blue Wall comm grid. With the token, hackers could eavesdrop on live battlefield maps, potentially redirecting artillery in real time. But without stable electricity, the modem became little more than a pricey paperweight. That glitch forced commanders to rely on backup plans, shortwave radios and human couriers, slower, riskier, and far less covert. In cyber war, seconds equal miles, and lost seconds made the assault bleed momentum. The van's breakdown spoke volumes about the delicate clockwork underneath the chaos. And forward we roll. Let's fold in the implications of the targeted communications shutdown. At 6:47 a.m., roughly 7 minutes after the van failed, cell towers across a 4-kilometer radius went dark. Engineers later confirmed a software exploit hit a specific switchboard inside Israel's partner network. The blackout wiped voice and data for 10,000 residents, but lasted only 12 minutes before auto-reboot. Security analysts think the switch was scheduled to collapse after the satellite hack succeeded, masking any telltale spikes in traffic. When the hack fizzled, the blackout still executed, leaving the attackers deaf to each other while Israeli units rerouted through hardened military channels. Essentially, they silenced civilians but not soldiers, an own goal that blunted their edge. Even in war, timing is everything, and tonight we dissect that ticking clock, dig deeper, and the misfire reveals broader, obscured ambitions. The pearl-white modem, if powered, could have done more than spy. It could impersonate IDF officers, issuing fake stand-down orders to remote units. Imagine drones landing, tanks idling, checkpoints opening for what appears to be legitimate commands. In the military simulator world, that tactic is called Ghost Captain. Speak with authority, and troops obey before verifying. Israeli officers train against such spoofing, but no defense is foolproof. The operation hinted at a desire not just to steal data, but to rewrite the combat script itself. A broken fuel injector stopped that rewrite cold, and in doing so exposed the depth of the playbook. Lessons pile up, and we lean forward. Now, about those conflicting eyewitness accounts again, specifically the silver case. Forensics later found wheel ruts leading from the citrus grove to an abandoned well shaft. Divers recovered the case wedged 4 meters down, empty save for a shredded foam insert shaped like a hard drive. Had militants dumped the payload to avoid Israeli dogs? Or did another team fish it out before dawn? The timeline blurs, yet the Discovery fans' new theories. If a copy of partial data survived, its owner holds leverage in future negotiations, a shadow bargaining chip no one can publicly admit exists. Secrets breed leverage, leverage breeds silence, and silence fuels rumor. We keep tuning the radio dial, seeking clear signal through that haze. The IDF's internal review points, fingers at human error. A junior mechanic skipped an oil change that could have kept the van humming. Critics counter that no clandestine unit would trust a mission of this scale to a random diesel clunker. They suggest sabotage from within, perhaps by a collaborator who soured on the plan. The argument fits old spy novels. But remember, espionage history is riddled with bicycles that had faulty chains at just the right moment. Small acts tilt big events, and we log this hypothesis even as we await harder proof. Onward, the chase continues. Meanwhile, the communications shutdown rippled beyond the battlefield. With cellular lines dead, civilians flocked to landlines, overloading copper grids last upgraded in 2014. Hospital pagers lagged, ambulance dispatchers doubled routes, and one maternity ward temporarily lost fetal monitor readings. For 12 nerve-wracking minutes, smartphones became bricks, and uncertainty spiked blood pressure. Though short-lived, the outage offered a grim preview of how targeted tech strikes can jeopardize everyday safety miles from the front. It's not just soldiers who depend on stabler signals. We civilians walk a tightrope of invisible beams, and any misstep makes the rope quiver. Momentum remains, and so do our questions. Let's flash to Gaza City, where Hamas command reportedly scrambled once word of the misfire reached them. A flurry of encrypted texts on the Al-Qassam 1 channel ordered units to secure secondary cache sites. That frantic shuffle suggests the planned intelligence haul extended far beyond the kibbutz perimeter. One Israeli analyst likened it to robbers learning mid-heist that the vault door jammed. They grab whatever cache sits loose and bolt, leaving the jewelry untouched. In military terms, loose cache equals body cams, seized smartphones, and hastily snatched laptops. These gizmos still offer intel, but nowhere near the jackpot of penetrating Pegasus 2. The downgrade changed the post-raid calculus, shifting propaganda emphasis back to hostage leverage rather than data ransom. Narrative, after all, follows available assets, and tonight we chart that switch. International eyebrows shot up at the fumble. Iranian state TV praised the heroic breach, yet remained conspicuously silent about the satellite goal, hinting Tehran knows of the failure. Western allies, meanwhile, eye the breakdown as proof that Hamas lacks the tech sophistication many feared, though skeptics warn a single stall doesn't negate months of planning. Think of it as a missed three-pointer, not a forfeited game. Still, the misfire opens a diplomatic window. Mediators can leverage Hamas's partial loss, offering humanitarian fuel or prisoner swaps in exchange for any captured data drives. Negotiations thrive on imbalance, and a botched hack tilts the scale, however slightly. Watch that space. Finally, the broader ambitions behind the attack come into sharper relief. Hostages grabbed headlines, but the larger aim seems to have been establishing temporary information supremacy, paralyzing Israeli drones, muddying command chains, and feeding strategic intel back to sponsors. That vision required a perfect storm. Van purring, modem humming, networks silenced in concert. Fate, or a clogged fuel filter, disrupted the storm. We're left with a blueprint of what could have been, and sometimes a failed design foretells future upgrades. As engineers say, first you break it, then you build it better. Israel knows, Hamas knows, and regional powers will study this glitch like coaches watching game tape. On we move. One closing note on those eyewitnesses. Investigators plan to reenact the scene next week, driving an identical van, filming for matching angles, and timing every step down to half seconds. They hope to reconcile the three stories: the elderly resident, the medic, and the drone pilot. Whichever account aligns with reenactment footage will shape future defenses. The exercise underlines a core theme of tonight. Truth is a mosaic, and every shard counts. The van's sputter may fade from headlines, but the lessons echo across war rooms and city grids alike. Missteps speak volumes, and we just listened. Coming up next, we'll connect the dots to reveal the true impact of these events.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on chumbacasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at chumbacasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's chumbacasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
With the threads of the investigation coming together, we now turn towards a conclusive synthesis. Time to stitch the clues into a single, beating, global heart. We begin by consolidating the gathered evidence, stacking each shard like a deck of playing cards. From CERN's lightning-shot particle runs that stirred public dreams of portals, to Detroit's midnight convoys humming through abandoned streets, to Gaza's stalled hacking van and the orange smoke that marked deactivated missile launchers, one drumbeat repeats: spectacle up front, strategy behind. Whether the actors wear white lab coats, tactical gear, or festival wristbands, they choreograph events to dazzle eyeballs, while quieter hands reach for deeper prizes. Scientists chase subatomic ghosts, yet also sharpen national pride. City officials rehearse disaster relief while testing social compliance. Militants grab hostages, yet also aim for satellite keys. The surface stories differ, but the blueprint underneath favors layered objectives, and that shared design becomes our launchpad tonight. Momentum carries us farther. Clarifying those multifaceted objectives means stepping back until the puzzle resolves into 3 concentric rings. The outer ring is narrative control. Grab attention, own the headline, set the frame. CERN does it with glowing cloud myths. Superpowers do it with maritime flybys. Hamas tried it with paragliders fluttering across a dawn sky. The middle ring is immediate leverage, securing bargaining chips like hostages, tariff threats, or rare earth minerals. The inner ring, hardest to glimpse, is long-tail advantage, harvesting data sets, testing public panic thresholds, mapping counter-response times. That inner ring rarely shows up on television, yet it decides who writes tomorrow's operating manual. Our investigation has nudged the curtain just enough to glimpse the center, and that glimpse should recalibrate how we read every breaking news banner. Onward we lean. Take the failed intelligence operation inside the beige van. At first glance, it reads as a simple misfire, a cracked hose ruining a brazen hack. But zoom out, and you notice its echo across continents. During the same week, a ransomware wave probed water plants in Ohio. and a Chinese research trawler lingered near an undersea cable link to Australia. Separate incidents? Maybe. Yet all three targeted nodes that feed real-time situational awareness, satellite uplinks, chlorine sensors, and internet arteries. If one node blinks, rivals can test how fast operators reroute, how much data leaks, and which sirens stay silent. Mess with enough nodes and you find pressure points that do not require armed invasions to control. The van's hiss of diesel smoke becomes more than a local glitch. It is a data point in a larger experiment on 21st century vulnerability. Forward we step. Now fold in the urban drills, Detroit's Operation Shield, Beijing's holographic siege, Moscow's Arctic missile rail test. Each exercise wears a domestic security badge, yet broadcasts a global memo. We can mobilize steel and silicon inside city limits without grinding daily life to a halt. That message matters because modern conflict cares less about front lines and more about influence corridors. If a government can weave Humvees, drones, and deepfake monitors through a Wednesday commute, it signals resilience to foes and warns residents that protest must navigate armored intersections. Conversely, every drill also reveals gaps, slow-turning supply trucks, radio echoes in high-rise canyons, or neighborhood rumors that spiral out of control. Observers collect that intel like chess players memorizing an opponent's opening gambits. In effect, each city rehearsal doubles as both shield and billboard, and that dual role underscores our theme of layered intent. We keep unraveling. Our cosmic opener ties in as well. CERN's high luminosity campaign was never just about Higgs boson cousins. It was also a proof of concept for multinational collaboration under resource strain. By coordinating power feeds, train timetables, and cybersecurity protocols across two nations, the Collider team demonstrated a logistical ballet. Many militaries envy. The public fixated on portal rumors. Yet, foreign delegations toured the control room, studying how Swiss and French engineers switch languages mid-command, how backup magnets kick in without voltage sag, how misinformation gets debunked in real time. Those lessons travel home to labs, defense hubs, and energy grids. Thus, a physics quest becomes a security workshop, cloaked in intellectual glamour. Once again, spectacle outside, strategy inside, and the rings align. On we glide. Reflecting on lasting repercussions, we land on the human layer, the quiet shift in citizen psychology. After orange auroras lit lower latitudes, families bought emergency radios. After covert drones buzzed Detroit rooftops, city councils debated curfews. After the cell tower blackout during the...
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Kibbutz raid. Israeli parents taught children to memorize landline numbers. Each incident nudges ordinary minds toward a new baseline. Expect the unseen. Question the official. Prep a fallback signal. That cultural adaptation ripples into markets. Battery sales rise. Mesh network startups gain investors, and courses on digital hygiene fill adult ed centers. Societal muscles grow where friction persists. The body politic toughens up, sometimes willingly, sometimes resentfully. These repercussions may outlast any single headline, shaping how nations weather the next shockwave. We note and move ahead, yet consequences are rarely evenly shared. Wealthy districts buy generators and cybersecurity audits. Poorer blocks rely on folklore and neighborhood scouts. When brown mountain lights flicker above North Carolina during special forces jumps, locals invent stories to patch information gaps. In Jakarta, volcanic tremors mingle with rumors of secret mining lasers. Folklore becomes the public's open-source analysis, filling voids left by paywalled think tank reports. That dynamic matters because misinformation often blooms where access withers. If officials want calm, they must invest in transparent, jargon-free updates, not just press statements, but storylines that respect grade 8 comprehension while admitting uncertainty. Our show tries to model that ethos, handing out puzzle pieces without hiding the missing ones. The cycle continues. So, what forecasts can we responsibly make? First, expect hybrid actors to iterate. Hamas's modem failed, but someone took notes. Next attempt, the van might carry redundant batteries or park closer to a power pole disguised as a fruit stand. Second, anticipate more city drills marketed as resilience festivals, complete with live music, influencer shoutouts, and QR codes for emergency kits. The blur between carnival and campaign will deepen, making it harder to tell whether you're cheering community spirit or rehearsing containment. Third, look for science mega-projects to integrate security demos right into public tours. A new reactor prototype might showcase not only green energy, but also anti-drone domes and blockchain access logs, normalizing martial tech in civic spaces. Each prediction stems from our consolidated evidence, and each circles back to the core lesson. Objectives layer, and layers persist. We keep scanning the horizon. Finally, a brief reflection on journalism's role. In a world where one clogged injector can shift regional power balance, speed and nuance must coexist. Report too slowly and disinfo fills the vacuum. Report too fast and nuance evaporates. That balancing act drives our format. Catchy hooks lure ears, plain language keeps grade 10 brains engaged, and relentless sourcing grounds the ride. We skip paywalls so curiosity stays democratic. We pace our segments so listeners can verify claims before echoes distort them. Journalism may not stop drones, rockets, or quantum computers, but it can inoculate minds against narrative hijack. That is the consequence we hope to spark, and tonight we hand that torch to you. Pass it wisely. With this synthesis complete, the global tapestry looks less random and more engineered, stitched by diverse hands chasing overlapping victories. Chaos connects to consequence, and consequence loops back, fueling the next calculated risk. The game board is bigger than any single crisis, yet each square teaches a rule. Keep the rules in your pocket. They serve as both compass and shield. We have reached the edge of tonight's map, but new coordinates already ping in the background. Curiosity never sleeps, and neither, it seems, do the architects of layered intent. We will stay on the case, charting shocks, translating techno-babble, and spotlighting the human heartbeat pulsing under every grand design. Our promise holds. Clear eyes, open mic, no spin left unchecked. See you on the other side of midnight. Don't miss tomorrow's show for further analysis on these evolving events. Portals stayed mythic, satellites stayed secure, barely. And the only confirmed rupture tonight was my bunker schedule. Remember, the grind lands every Tuesday and Thursday all summer, assuming I emerge with eyebrows intact. Takeaways: spectacle is the wrapper, strategy is the candy, all without verification is a flare in a dry forest, and one clogged fuel injector can derail a grand design. Keep curiosity caffeinated, skepticism holstered, and your backup comms handy. Full source list, still paywall free at unexplained.co. Drop a review, share the signal, and if management asks where I am, tell them. Art's still in the bunker, calibrating whatever's next. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and as always, keep grinding.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on chumbacasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at chumbacasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's chumbacasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.